Testing. Hello, friends. We're going to get started. So I know everyone's excited. I know I am. And if your friend's not here, call them up, text them, tell them come. You're missing out. But let's start. I am Garner Shimizu, in case you don't know me. I am the District 32 State House Representative. District 32 runs roughly from Precinct 1 is a Kalihi block that's on the Kalihi exit of Fort Shafter. We have Fort Shafter, Honolulu Gardens that were in this beautiful community, Honolulu Valley, Red Hill, Halava Valley, Halava Heights up to Halava Heights Road, Aiea, Lower Aiea below the freeway, Pearl Ridge up to Pearl Ridge, and then if you cross Kamehameha Highway, you have Lipoa Place, you have Magru Point, coming back to Aloha Stadium, Cross Point, Ali Plantation, Foster Village, West Aliamanu up to Maluna Road, and of course, Aliamanu Military Reservation. So we have quite a broad stretch. You know, I want to thank all of you for being here because I know that we're busy. Life is busy, and yet you made a decision to be here. And I think it's an important time. I pray that you will be blessed for this time, that you will gain something, that you will learn more about our community, the things that go on, and be better informed and empowered to communicate concerns that you observe or you experience. And this last part I'm excited about, that you can even be part of the solution, yeah? Because you are a powerful person. So I'd like to open in a prayer, so please join me and you can pray as is comfortable for you. But let's have a time of prayer. Heavenly Father, aloha kia koa. E komamai, we welcome you, we welcome your spirit of aloha to come, to be here, to join all of our hearts in your spirit of aloha, because this is the land of aloha. And we want to bless everyone here. We want to bless our Aina. We want to bless our district, but also the island of Oahu, the state of Hawaii. We want to bless our special speakers, all of the people that work really hard for our government in serving the public, Lord. So, Lord, we just bless this time. May it be just a wonderful time to glorify you. I pray in Jesus' name. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Okay, just a few housekeeping rules. Bathrooms, right out this door. You go out. The men's is going to be on the left on this building. Women's across. You guys have multiple stalls, so that's the benefit of going across there. We have refreshments in the back. We're going to be passing them out if you haven't already got some. We also have HPD and Board of Water Supply brought some giveaway things in the back there. You know, as you came in, you probably got one of these forms here. We had this great idea. Instead of having the typical master sign-in list, we have an individual, because you guys are all individuals. Individual sign-in form. Please write your information so that we can contact you, and write down your question that you have. And if during our Q&A session, if we don't get to your question, we have your contact information and we can get back to you and we can answer your question. And if you already turned it in, we also have blank forms on the table. You can ask more questions. And the last thing is, we also had a handout. And if you didn't get a handout, that handout is a great resource. It has a list of different city and state departments that you could call for common things that you need help on, you know, whether it's potholes or feral chickens and feral cats. Yeah? So if you didn't get a handout, please raise your hand and I'll have somebody get one to you. Okay, I want to get to our special speakers who I want to thank profusely for making time in their busy schedules and coming out and giving aloha to our community. First, I have Ernie Lau, who is with the Board of Water Supply. I told Ernie that he's probably the most well-known person on Oahu. His assistants there, Joyce Lee, excuse me. Sorry, Joyce. We have Mike Lambert. Yeah, let's give Joyce a hand. We have Mike Lambert, who's the director of the state law enforcement, and he was one of the 3 finalists for the HPD chief position. Mike, I know God has something amazing for you, so let's give Mike a hand. Thank you. We have HPD, Honolulu Police Department, Sergeant Jose Martinez. Thank you, Jose, for being here. Lastly, we have City and County Department of Facilities Maintenance. Okay, I got the wrong M there. It's maintenance. I was trying to give you one promotion, management. Okay, Director Gene Albano. Let's give him a hand. Okay, so we're gonna start with Board of Water, Ernie Lau.
Thank you, everybody, for having me tonight. I just want to again introduce Joyce Lay. She is a engineer in the manager's office and has been really helping on the issues of Red Hill. So what we're doing is preparing I just want to make it clear, the situation at Red Hill is not POW. There's still a lot of work, and right now some of the hardest work to be done, which is the trying to clean up the Aina and the Vai in the area. And Joyce, I'm looking to her and others like her to be the next generation because this is a effort that'll go many, many years. Thank you, Joyce. So we'll give you a brief update on the Red Hill situation. Next slide. So this is actually from the Navy's website. And also, if you haven't installed the Red Hill app, I'll give a plug for the Navy's Closure Task Force, Red Hill Closure Task Force. They have an app for your smartphone that you can install, and they'll give you updates on what's happening. So this is broken down on your left, which is the cleanup of the tanks. At the time that the Red Hill facility was ordered closed, about 14 of the 20 underground fuel storage tanks were still in use storing fuel. So with the initial effort to defuel, they took out about 104 million gallons of diesel and jet fuel out of the facility. So they're in the process of cleaning up those 14 tanks. And it's kind of color-coded so that you can see where they're at in the process. On the right is the actually pipelines. There are 3 large pipelines that connected the underground fuel tank farm, which is about 3 miles inland from Pearl Harbor, all the way to Pearl Harbor. So about 10 miles of large steel pipes that go through an underground tunnel connecting the bottoms of each tank to the pump station at Pearl Harbor. So their first process is to actually remove any kind of residual fuel in those pipelines, and you can see the volume of fuel removed and also the volume of fuel from the tanks, from the pipes and the tanks. Then their next step would be to cut the pipelines out and actually remove those steel pipes. I'm told they're going to try to recycle the material, maybe on the mainland, but you can ask the Navy for more details on that. Next, please. So recently they completed a what they call an environmental assessment. This is actually to install a water treatment system or facility for their Red Hill shaft. Remember back in 2021, this is a little after Thanksgiving, folks on the base, started to find fuel in their drinking water in their homes. And they shut down in early December the Red Hill shaft, which supplied around 20-25% of the water for Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam. And they've kept it shut off, except they've been running it for a number of years now to try to use it to capture the fuel that might be in the aquifer and then flush it into a halava stream after they treat it with activated carbon. So their project is actually now to put a permanent water treatment system in place so they can return this source on as a drinking water source for Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam. That water doesn't come to the Board of Water Supply. So if you're concerned about that, that water doesn't come to the BWS. It only serves the 90 to 100,000 people that live and work on the base at Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam. So this is the environmental assessment, finding of no significant impact. Although I haven't had a chance to really look at it closely, we did, as part of the comments on the draft, submit about 11 pages of comments to the Navy. One thing I heard on a news story that the primary purpose of this treatment system was for PFAS, forever chemicals, which is actually being found on the Red Hill property and nearby. But when I talked to the military earlier, they told me that they were actually treating for petroleum contamination, TPH, total petroleum hydrocarbons, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, and PFAS, forever chemicals. Because the monitor wells that are still being tested in the area still show evidence of petroleum contamination at various levels. Next, please. So this is actually, this is actually locations of where we test the groundwater in the aquifer. That Board of Water Supply actually takes the sample and runs tests to test for petroleum hydrocarbons, to test for all kinds of forever chemicals. We do it on an every 2-week basis. Shown in blue letters are the Board of Water Supply sites, and it includes monitor wells. And I do want to acknowledge the representative and our state legislature for over the last few years. They've allocated about $12 million to this effort to create a monitor well network so we can better understand where fuel is moving or contamination is moving deep underground in the underground aquifer, and what wells might be impacted and maybe how we can try to clean it up. So just big mahalo to the representative in the legislature for that $12 million. Also with Board of Water Supply funds, these are the wells that we have installed and will be installing in the near future. Next, please. So these are, anybody here from this Mauna Loa community, live in Mauna Loa Valley? Okay, so what we did as part of the effort, because a lot of the monitor or test wells were being installed on the Halava side, on the Halava Valley side, going toward Aiea, Halava Heights, but not a lot being installed in Mauna Loa Valley. So for the first time, and I want to just recognize Joyce Lay. She's been helping to oversee the construction of these test wells, and I just want to mahalo the Mauna Loa Golf Course for allowing us to drill up to 2 monitor wells on their property. I just want to apologize if we created any disruption on Aolani, I think, Street, because one of the monitor wells was right there along the shoulder area. That monitor well S is actually being tested right now. The other monitor well, what letter is that? Y, monitor well Y, is under construction. So that'll give us 2 locations in Mauna Loa Valley itself to determine if there might be contamination that could possibly migrate from the Red Hill underground fuel storage facility toward the valley. Next, please. So this is what a monitor well looks like. It's nothing really fancy. It's a hole in the ground with a pipe that we can actually pump water from the aquifer below, deep underground, take a sample and send it to a laboratory to be tested for petroleum, PAHs, and PFAS chemicals. And there are bollards around it so that nobody runs it over. Next, please. So on this slide, I just want to alert everybody, those that live in IAEA community, the impact of Red Hill happening in 2021, November, December, was that we shut down 3 wells, well stations that normally, 2 of which supply the IAEA community. The IAEA wells and Halava wells still remain shut off. And with our Halava shaft, which supplies urban Honolulu, that's still shut off. And we did that as a precaution to avoid drawing contamination and putting it into our water system or moving that contamination across the valley. So further to the west, near IAEA High School, right along the freeway, we have a small well station that we used to serve urban Honolulu, but because we were short on supply for the IAEA Halava community, we actually turned that well around to supply the IAEA Halava community. Unfortunately, we're finding PFAS at levels that require us to actually install a water treatment there. And what we have done is actually put a temporary water treatment there, system there, and are planning for the construction of a permanent water treatment there. And this is for Forever Chemicals PFAS that we're trying to remove from the water. This is what it looks like. It's big tanks filled with carbon or charcoal that filters the water and absorbs some of the PFAS chemicals. Next, please. So this is TWTS. Only my staff calls it TWITS. But actually, it stands for Temporary Water Treatment System, and we could have figured a better name for that. but it is that system where we hope to get Department of Health approval very shortly to be able to turn that system on. Because for those that live in IAEA Halava, mahalo for practicing water conservation. Because especially during the hot, dry summers when demand for water goes up, we were kind of struggling to keep your community supplied with water. And we needed to get this Kalamila wells back in service. Next, please. And I just want to mahalo the legislature, too. There was an effort called the Red Hill Water Alliance Initiative, or Red Hill VI. This involved the governor, the legislature, both the House and the Senate, and also the City Council and the mayor of the City and County of Honolulu, coming together with other stakeholders, including the Board of Water Supply, to look at how to help with the investigations on the occurrence of contamination in the area, how it might be remediated or cleaned up. And the legislature this past session, and mahalo Representative for supporting this too, allocated about $8 million to that effort. Those funds will be administered by the Department of Land and Natural Resources. The Red Hill VI coordinator is housed in the chairperson's office at DLNR. So we are part of the Red Hill VI effort, and we'll be also allocating some of Board of Water Supply funds to contribute toward this effort too. So big mahalo. Again, think of Red Hill, not POW, but it is a now long-term effort to locate the contamination and to try to clean it up and restore our precious public trust resources, our water that we depend on. Next, please. And if you're available on, I think it's June 20th, it's this Saturday. Okay. Unfortunately, I can't make it, but Joyce is going to be there. It's the Walk for VI. I went on 2 walks for VI already, but this one, unfortunately, I really gonna miss. But Joyce will be there. Please join us. This is just as a community to walk, to remind everybody of the importance of VI, or water, fresh water, on our lives. Because Ola Ika VI, water is life. And we want to make sure that the message is still there with the leaders in our community, and reminding the military that they need to clean up the mess they created here. And this is a walk for Vi. So please come out if you can. It's going to start at Ala Moana Park. Joyce, what time? At 9 o'clock, and go all the way to Kapiolani Park. So be prepared, bring some water, bring a hat. It could be hot, but it's a good effort. I remember the first walk I participated in. We started at Kehi Lagoon, and we went all the way to Pearl Harbor. And there was about at that time, there was I would guess maybe 1,000 people from the community. Kanaka, non-Kanaka, young, old, some in strollers. But when it comes to what is important for our community, our freshwater resources, it is something that we all can put our efforts, our shoulder behind to protect and to preserve for our future. So just mahalo. One last thing for emergency preparedness, please pick up one of these magnets. This is water emergency preparedness information from the Board of Water Supply. This is how to conserve water. So when your HECO electricity goes out because weather conditions, remember always conserve water, because we need electricity to pump water to serve almost 1 million people every day. We also have emergency water storage bags. Please take as much as you want. There's a big box back there, but this is 2.5 gallons with instructions on how to store water temporarily safely for emergency. And what's nice, it folds flat, so it's easy to store. So be prepared. 1 gallon of water per day for 14 days. And that's just for survival. If you can store more, even more better, especially if you want to like flush your toilet or something like that. But just mahalo, everybody. Thank you, Representative.
All right, thank you, Ernie. Like you said, water is life, and government is allocating significant funding to protect that precious resource, which we can't do without. Without further ado, I want to just introduce Mike. Mike, go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you, Rep, for having me. So my name is Mike Lambert. I'm the Director of Department of Law Enforcement. So we're going to kind of share about the Illegal Fireworks Task Force. We're coming up on 4th of July. There were some new laws last year. As we all know, it's been an ongoing issue for decades, but unfortunately not more than 3 miles from here, an incident had to occur for us to change the way that we look at it, not only from a community standpoint, but from a government standpoint. So we kind of just want to share with you guys what the Illegal Task Force does. And kind of, I know not everybody saw the change that other communities saw, but we did see a lot of feedback that said it was better. And even for my community, what I've seen is that at least there's not the odd days, right? The Tuesday at 10 p.m. for no reason. So I do believe that we're trending in the right direction. Unfortunately, just like with speeding and other things, I'm never going to be able to stamp it out. But what we want to do is just try to reduce it as much as possible, so we're not having people end up in the ER every year, because we don't want to start off the year that way with a loved one not coming home, yeah? So I know sometimes for those that like fireworks, I apologize, don't hate me, it's my job. No, just kidding. But it really is a public safety issue, and I think it's been proven by what happened in Albano. Okay, so the purpose, right, is to interdict illegal fireworks entering the state. So this is the biggest thing, right? So for the Department of Law Enforcement and the state, our job is to stop it at the port or at the airports, right? So a lot of times people were clowning me because they're saying, oh, how many tickets you guys got? Like, only like a handful, but we interdicted, what you guys will see is like 70 tons, right? So just to let you guys know that the state's job is stopping it at port, right? And then, you know, we do work with the counties on the actual 4th of July and New Year's Eve. We bring out our drones to help out and get some tickets. But really, I think we can all agree, just like with drugs, users are a problem, but it's the distributors that are really key, right? In other words, if we can knock out the distribution level, right, we can knock down supply. Hopefully what happens is when supply gets low, it gets expensive, and hopefully we're all smart enough to fill our gas tanks and buy food instead of buying things that can hurt our families and the community. Okay, so these are the federal partners, right? So we got ATF, Coast Guard, Customs Border, Homeland Security. postal inspections. At the state, we got, of course, taxation, right? Because people don't realize that a lot of times these guys, just like Al Capone style, we go after them for not paying their taxes. People say, oh, it's all about the money. No, it's about disrupting organized crime. Yeah? That's really what this is. And then, of course, each county department participates on this illegal task force. We have investigations that have started here and obviously gone to the other islands. We are actually a part of an investigation that has actually spread to the continent. So in other words, we are just like any other criminal organization, right, that pushes drugs or illegal things. We are actually a stopping ground for organized crime in the mainland. So you guys don't see it right away, but there's a lot of work being done behind the scenes. So just to let you guys know, in 2025, right, we got about 70 tons. When the task force started in July of 2023, it was a odd, kind of half year, so I just ran it through a year and a half, but 227,000 pounds. Last year, we executed 23 search warrants, and we made 8 felony arrests. I know people say, 8, what is that? These are 8 people that were bringing in tons of fireworks. So there's not 8 people that had bottle rockets and firecrackers. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the stuff that goes boom, and the stuff that if you get hit by it, it'll kill you. So just to put that into context, right, of how much weight that is, 367,000 pounds, right, is 166 million grams, right? So just to let you know your rockets, not the bottle rockets, right, the little, those little baby ones. That's 5 grams, so that's like 33 million, just to put it into context, right? 33 million shots. If it was, the reason why I highlighted the dark, or the ones that are highlighted are the most common things we get, these are the medium-sized rockets, right? And then if you look at this amount, just to put it into perspective, these are the consumer-grade mortars, the ones that are boom, right? Those are the ones really that, I don't know about you guys, but those are the ones that most community members get upset by because they're just egregious. I think if it was red fireworks, bottle rockets, Roman candles, stuff that we grew up on, I don't think there'd be people as upset as it is. Just to let you guys know, this 60-gram mortar, if you're hit within 10 feet, it will kill you, right? So it is not a joke. It's not like a bottle rocket where it bounces off of you, or like a Roman candle, it bounces out. This will kill you. Right? It's like getting hit with a shotgun at close range. So to put that into perspective, right, that's about almost 3 million shots that we've seized that aren't going up in our neighborhoods. So this is the problem, right? We're not in parts of the U.S. where our houses are spread apart, and if you go blast it in the field, it's not dangerous. For even the smaller areas, 150 feet. How close are you guys' neighbors? Closer than 150 feet, right? Probably more like 15 feet. So this is the problem, right? Is that you have people in our neighborhoods that are making choices for everyone. In other words, I'm going to let it off in the street, and I don't care if I knock your house or injure somebody. And that's to me what's not, Hawaiian or local or aloha about it, right? It's just like, hey, come on, it's one thing if you live in the Big Island. Not to say I would condone it there, but you live out in Puna, you get 3 acres, you blow them up, whatever. But when you live in these kind of areas, you're making a choice for your whole neighborhood, whether or not a house gets set on fire, whether or not somebody gets injured and dies, and that's not fair, right? I don't feel that's fair. So the bigger ones, the commercial grade ones that we actually find, 300 feet. So a whole football field away you're supposed to be from where it lets off to be safe. So I think we can all agree when people say, oh, you guys should be focusing on fentanyl and guns. We are. Right? Believe me, we are focusing on fentanyl and guns. The reason why we highlight this so much is because nobody's arguing fentanyl is bad, right? I've never gone to a community meeting where they're like, what do you think? What are you trying to say? What's the big deal with fentanyl, right? Or say, we have these ghost guns. What's the big deal with that? Nobody's giving us that. So believe me, we are paying attention to the high level stuff. The reason why we come out to these community meetings and talk about fireworks is because people don't understand the dangers of it. And then when we put a lot of effort into it, sometimes we get we get beat up in the comments like, oh, these guys, that's the problem. They don't know how to prioritize, right? So just to let you guys know, when I was with HPD, Narco Vice seizes about $50 million a year in illegal drugs, right? So, we take hundreds of guns off the street a year. So just to be very clear, the law enforcement community, when I talk about fireworks, understands where people say, are we focusing on other things? And we are. But we want to talk about this tonight. So this is the thing that I want you guys to know, right? is that the law change is tiny. It looked better on my computer, but not so good here. But what I kind of want to cover with you folks is what the fines are, so you guys can talk to your neighbors about it. You can talk to your family members about it and decide whether or not that's something you want to roll the dice on. So for consumer grade, so without a permit or outside the hours, so this is even like red firecrackers. So if you pop it outside, it's a $220 fine. It's equivalent of getting like a speeding ticket. This one doesn't really help me either, but these are the ones, right? So for the aerials and the stuff that I believe is frustrating the community, it's $320 just for letting it off. Now, you can see it goes misdemeanor all the way up to felony grade, depending on how much you have, yeah? So 25 pounds, 50 pounds. Now, people don't realize 25 pounds is really not that much. It's just like a bin. Like if you take like a laundry basket and fill it, that's about 25 pounds. So people are like, oh, I didn't realize it's so little bit. And you do not want to get a felony. I mean, it just, for obvious reasons. Now, those are the obvious ones, right? These are the less obvious ones that you guys have to consider. Liability of parents and guardians. So what some families thought, we're going to let the kids pop because what the cops going to do to the kids, right? Well, our lawmakers got this one right. Well, no problem, brother, because who's the mom or dad, right? You guys want to let your kids. And the thing is this, the reason why is that we don't want the kids blowing themselves up and getting hurt. Every year, a handful of people will lose fingers, or even their eyesight. It doesn't make the news because, it's not that glamorous. But there's somebody, I bet you, January 2nd, wishing that they never did that because they cannot count all the way to 10 anymore, right? So the thing is this is what's significant, guys. It's a misdemeanor right out the gate. So if you guys going to let your kids pop in front of the house, I was out in Waianae, we were doing enforcement, and I just said, hey, where's your mom, right? Where's your mom or dad? They pointed to the garage. I said, I need to talk to you. Now, those individuals, their situation was they had to have secret clearance for their job. Guess what a misdemeanor does to that? Gone, right? So it's not something that you should take for granted. If it causes injury, so your kids are popping fireworks and it injures somebody, substantial bodily injury, which is like, broken bone or open wound, C, felony, right? And that goes to the parent now, right? And if we have a tragedy or it's serious bodily injury, so serious bodily injury is like you almost die or actually die, it's a B, felony to the parent or guardian. So it's no joke. So in other words, if you guys have your loved ones, you say, we let the kids pop, please share with them that if they hurt themselves or someone else, it's pretty serious. This is another one that you guys need to consider, and it's tough, and when we're writing these laws, we were just trying to figure out a way to, how do we discourage people from using it and give people an out, right? Because what is the number one thing, right? You throw a big family party, right? You get the Kolohe nephew that brings over the fireworks. You don't want to be the one that's like, oh, so you just let it go. Now you guys have an out. You guys can say liability to homeowner, renter, right? Or person in charge of or responsible for the property. So now, if you get grandma or grandpa in trouble, right? This is the way to do it. Pop fireworks at their house, right? And same thing, if you injure somebody, right? Now grandma gonna get whatever the violation was +1, right? If what you do at their house is serious bodily injury or death, it's 2 grades higher. So this is your guys out. If you guys are just being Mr. Nice Guy or Mr. Nice Gal and said, nice, hey, you guys know what? Don't pop at my house because they had a presentation, and if you guys hurt somebody, right, that falls on me. And now it's kind of easier to say no. And really what we want you guys to do, guys, is just say, hey, you know what? We don't want anybody getting hurt, and we sure as heck don't want to have a criminal rap. So now you guys have the out either as a parent or guardian or as a property owner or renter. You guys can say, no, don't do it here. Okay, so what can be used as evidence? Obviously, we use drones. We've actually even taken drones from members of the community, and I'll give you guys a website that you guys can link to and you guys can upload. So sometimes it doesn't even happen immediately. So New Year's Eve, we had hours and hours of footage. We actually went back through the footage, and if we could see it coming from an address, what we did is we sent a nuisance abatement letter to the house, and basically what that's saying is that although you didn't have a criminal, even though we didn't get you criminally that night, right, you are on the radar, and if we do get you criminally, now we can go ahead and seize your home for up to 1 year, right? So in other words, the stuff that we're doing is no joke, right? So I really don't think that this is the kind of law that you want to chance, how good your law skills are. We can use cell phone camera data from neighbors. We can use social media because everybody loves to show what they do and all the money that they like to burn. So we can take that as evidence. People's home security, we can get a search warrant. So for example, if somebody gets injured across the street, even if you guys don't want to participate, and not because you're condoning the activity, it's just you don't want to be that neighbor that people are like, oh, she gives, he or she gives up all the camera footage. We'll take the burden off of you, and we'll go ahead and get a search warrant to get it. For those of you that like to do the right thing and be an eyewitness, we take that. I'm going to share the DLE reporting line. To be very clear, though, guys, for the state, again, our job is interdiction. So we're looking for people that are distributing. If you know that somebody is sending around a list, give us that person's name. Those are the kind of things that we want at the state. For the aggravating things that are happening and people lighting off, that's still 911. But what we like for the DLE reporting line is that if you guys send us ahead of time, like so for example, you guys know that a particular neighbor, they're always the Kolohe house, they're always letting off. If you guys give us a DLE reporting line, like not the sooner the better, before 4th of July, what we do is we flag it. So that's what we did for New Year's Eve, is that we flagged all the homes that people wanted to say always go off, and then we hovered on those homes, right? And that's why we had about 8 open cases against homes for letting off. Although we couldn't get them, because what was happening is that cat and mouse, yeah? So before time, people just let off, constant, doom, 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 doom. But now they have drones. What they've been doing to evade us is they go hide out for like 20 minutes, hide out. So a little more cat and mouse, but I still consider that a win because it's better than before. Right now, they're only letting off once every 20 minutes versus constantly for hours on end. So again, sometimes with crime fighting, it's not always what we hope for. It's more about disruption, because what happens is they bought a stockpile, and if they couldn't let it off throughout the night, guess now where does it sit? In the house, right? Now it becomes dangerous. Now we can get them throughout the year. Now the supply and demand, are they going to buy again next year? No need, because they still get. So that's where we start to disrupt organized crime. So it's very intricate on what we do, and it's not always quick and easy in how we get wins. And a lot of times, like any other crime, it takes years. But I think that last year, for the most part, shows that we're making some headway. So this is the reporting line. You guys, so again, for fireworks sellers, yeah, that's what this is for. We also have an app. If you go on law.hawaii.gov, there's an app, and you can actually report a lot of other crimes if you guys are in the ag community or for other gun crimes. You go on there, you download this Safer Watch app, and then what it allows you to do is just upload. So if you guys take photos or not, you can remain anonymous. That's up to you. But don't forget, if they're being actively set off, it's still just 911. Yeah, we still just use good old-fashioned 911 for now. But if you're aware of sellers or people that you know in your neighborhood constantly go off, then go ahead and let us know. And what we do, and what we're going to do for 4th of July is same thing. We're going to go down the list of all the homes that are listed, and then we're going to start there. Now, the good news was that we had a lot of people participate New Year's Eve, so much so that it actually overwhelmed our tip line, which is good. So for those of you that tried, I apologize. We actually had to increase the vendor line. So in other words, we had to talk to the vendor and say on 4th of July and New Year's Eve, we need more operators available to us. So I do apologize for those of you that couldn't get through. Again, this is a work in progress, but we have added on to our tip line ability. So please just trust in the system, and year over year, we'll go ahead and make Honolulu a little safer. You're going to save questions for later? Okay.
Thank you, Mike. So we're going to move to HPD Sergeant Jose Martinez. Welcome, Sergeant.
Good afternoon, or evening. Sergeant Martinez. I'm part of the community policing team here in Kalihi. If you're not aware, Kalihi District begins at the Pali, goes up the mountain, down to the water, all the way up to Salt Lake. Our border technically ends right where Target is. So, pretty large district. We're pretty busy. We have major thoroughfares. You know, we have the freeway, Nimitz. We have King Street, Dillingham, Pali, Likelike. We have numerous housings. So to say that we're busy, a little bit of an understatement. Your area here actually falls within Sector 2, and it actually falls within 2 of our sectors. And just to kind of give you an idea how busy we get, last month there was about 295 calls just in this area. Anything from like auto theft to parking complaints. So try to multiply that by all our other beats, it does get pretty busy. I think the best thing to do is, I know you guys probably have questions for us, because historically when I come, we get a lot of the questions. So the thing I do want to kind of share with you that might help a little bit is, I don't know if you're aware of the city's website has what we call 311. Yeah, are you guys aware of that? So that's a really good tool. It helps us. When you guys make a complaint or have a chronic complaint like parking or homelessness, things like that, you can always put it on there. And anything, from my understanding, you can put potholes, you can put roosters, I mean, anything that you feel has to be addressed. And if it's something that HPD would handle, it'd come to actually my desk, part of the community policing team. And that's because we have more time to actually go out and try to find a solution, as opposed to calling like a 911 where the officer has to go to, case to case. But if it's an emergency, of course it's 911, right? This is for like non-emergencies, things that can take a little bit more time. So that's a really good tool. It's been used a lot. We get a lot of information through that. We get a lot of community concerns that we have to address. So if you can, utilize that. Another thing that I want to bring up real quick that might be a help to you, I believe I have some cards in the back. It's something that we started before COVID, and I thought it was a really good idea, but that kind of slowed everything down. It's Smart 911. You guys aware of that? So it's a really good program. Nowadays, most people get rid of their home phones and they have cell phones. But if you call 911 from your cell phone, you can't give us your location. It's not going to give us the exact location where you're coming from. It's going to give us a radius of where we think the call is coming from, right? Because it's coming off the towers and whatnot. So this Smart 911 is a real simple, you go on, you log on, you create a profile using your cell phone, and you can put as much or little information on there you want, your address, you can put your car information, you can put if you have pets, how many people live in your house. What that does is the first responders, HPD, HFD, EMS, they have access to that when you call. So when you call with your cell phone, whatever you put on that profile is going to pop up. So if you can't speak, something happened, we know where you live. If you have elderly people in your house, you can even put what room they're typically in, and that will help the firemen, right? If there's a fire. So that's a really good tool. I'm trying to get the word out again. It's free. And that's another way that you can help yourselves and help us better serve your concerns. So with that, I think I'll leave it open for the questions. Like I said, I'm pretty sure we'll receive a lot of the questions.
Thank you, Sergeant Martinez. Good evening, Jane Albano, Director and Chief Engineer for the Department of Facility Maintenance, City and County of Honolulu. I want to thank Representative Shimizu for the opportunity just to dialogue this evening, to give you an opportunity to provide feedback to our department. Our department provides maintenance to all of the city facilities, whether it's streams, sidewalks, roads. We're the department that does our best to maintain it. And I'm here to just provide some updates with regards to some of the facilities, specifically streams for Honolulu area. We recently completed maintenance at Haku Ditch. We're currently maintaining Oheke Ditch. And for streams, the last stream maintenance for Honolulu was in August, so that's an annual maintenance that's done, so we will likely do that in August as well. And then the last stream is Mana Iki, and that was done in November of last year, and we will plan to maintain that again in November. And as Sergeant mentioned, the best way for us to be able to respond to your concerns is through feedback. And HNL 311 app is the best device, best platform for us to really get to your concerns. And so I encourage all of you to utilize that app. And if you don't get any response, take the opportunity to reach out to Representative Shimizu, Council Member Cordero, I believe. They have a hotline to my mobile phone, and I typically will then do my best to have our crews address the concerns. So if you do have anything that is of top of mind, please come talk story with me after this Q&A. So thank you for the opportunity to, again, be part of this town hall.
All right, well, I guess we're going to start moving into question and answer. So this is where your forms that you filled out for any questions. I'm going to start off the questions. I have a list, but before I do, I just wanted to acknowledge some people in the audience, which I appreciate them coming. First of all, I see Senior Pastor Joshua Cole for First Assembly of God. I see our Mono Valley Community Association President Kathy Higa. And he was here earlier. I don't see him. Fourth Chapter Elementary Principal Rory Vieira. Are you still here, Rory? Okay, Rory. And I know Senator Kim is not here. She's one of the senators over our District 32, but the senator over Moana Loa, and I see her office aide, Kathy Ni'i. Thank you, Kathy, for being here. All right, so I guess, first of all, I want to make sure you folks get that handout that has all the contact information. That's really important. That's something that is going to be useful for you and our community. And again, there's refreshments, there's other things that HPD and Board of Water Supply have handouts and gifts in the back. My question is regarding the 311. I know it said it goes to the HPD, but if it's related to any other department, it'll be funneled to the exact department that is needed, yeah? Wow, that's awesome. That is really awesome.
Representative, so we went through an evolution with this 311 app. The first or prior generation of it was very too much information. We tried to simplify it such that there was less categories for you to select and then be able to then streamline. So that's why we're really encouraging HNL 311. It's been simplified so that it can be streamlined to the specific department to address the concern.
Yeah, I agree. Since it's come on, my office it's really helped us address a lot of the concerns that the community has. So we just had one that we checked on last week at parking in the Salt Lake area, and they were real specific, being able to give us specific cars and times. So it really helps. So I do second that. If you guys can use the app, it's really helpful.
All right, thank you, Officer. I had a question for Ernie. You know, on that map you showed us with the monitor well location, there was an area that had a lot of red dots with I guess that was where the tanks were. What were those red dots?
The red dots are the Navy's monitoring wells.
Oh, I see. Okay. And currently, is the Navy sharing that information with Board of Water Supply as far as their monitoring wells?
For the data that they have collected from the monitoring wells, they post it on their Safe Waters website. I've been looking through the website, and sometimes it's a little challenging gathering all that information. But it is on their Safe Water website. They also have the reports on there, but it's many pages in PDF files, so it takes a
Right.
little while to get an understanding of what it all means.
Okay, but not short of information for sure, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, last question for Board of Water Supply. You mentioned filters in IAEA, temporary now and then permanent, and those filters can filter out PFAS?
Yes, the PFASs that we're encountering at our Kalamila wells, activated carbon is effective at removing them. We are also looking at additional water treatment facilities at our Mauna Loa wells, also our Pearl City shaft. Yeah.
Okay. Next question I got is for Mike Lambert. You know, when you said you are getting the source from the ship or the airplanes, are you guys able to identify like the source where it's coming from so that you apprehend the person here, but the chain that's going up?
Yes, so like I was sharing is we are a part of actually a national investigation going on right now. We can't always prove where it came from, but there are times, and a lot of times we're utilizing actually AI scrubbing tools to try to figure out who these people are. A lot of times we actually have to use search warrants because somebody paid for that container. So, I don't want to get into too many details because criminals will listen to this one day and then beat me. But we are able to work backwards. But just like any other crime, it's not 100%. So really it is a numbers game. So the more containers that we can hit, because basically you're trying to break down a network, yeah? So every person is a part of a network. So once we can crack into one, then we can start to take out that organization. Just to let you guys know, to load a container can be easily a $250,000, right? And to go undetected, they buy that in cash. So they go to places on the continent where fireworks are legal, and they go ahead and load up a container with $250,000. So the good news is I don't have $250,000, so I'm assuming we're dealing with people that do this for a living. The good news is that when we catch them, we can wipe them out because it's a cash business, right? So short answer is yes, but it takes time. So for example, we're hoping to have the Attorney General announce an indictment. That investigation was from a container seized last year. So these things do take time because once we get the actual container, then we work backwards through financial records to figure out who these individuals are.
Thanks, Mike. That's awesome to hear because I think once we get these violators put in jail, that's going to send a strong message. And even as you shared, and your slide showed us the enhanced penalties, and even the drone footage that you folks have data that you're mapping out these violators. And I thought that was amazing that you guys send a letter to them. That's kind of like, wow, we know your mail. So thanks for doing that. I have a question from the audience here regarding king tides in Mapuna Puna. Does anybody want to touch that? I guess king tides, I take it as, for those of us who live in the area and we drive around Mapuna Puna, the water is backing up and flooding the streets. So anybody just want to, we're not going to spend the whole night talking about that, but just Gene.
So I'm a proud Mauna Loa graduate of the intermediate as well as the high school. And so I know Mapuna Puna area for the longest. And that basically is a low-lying area in which when they developed that, it didn't account for sea level rise. And it's always been a problem. There are plans to be able to mitigate flooding in the future. We recently had a meeting, a collaborative meeting with stakeholders of the area, with the city and the state to identify what interim measures we could do to try and limit the flooding. It's a long-term solution that requires investment by the property owner, and that's where the rub lays in how much do you invest to address the flooding, whether it's being able to raise the grade or pump out the water. It becomes an investment exercise, and that is what we're trying to address collectively between the state, the owners, as well as the city.
Okay, so that's an ongoing issue that needs to be resolved. I guess the advice is don't drive your car through that. Yeah. I had a question on speed humps, and we actually had invited the City Department of Transportation Services and the Hawaii Department of Transportation. They were on board, but they had a last-minute conflict, cancellation. But they did send me some information. This is from Roger Morton, the Director of Department of Transportation Services. And some of you already in Moanalo Gardens are aware that they are planning to install 3 speed humps on Mahi'ole in front of the middle school, the elementary, and I think towards the Moanalo Gardens Missionary Church. That was originally scheduled July 6th to 7th. I just had an update that they're moving that up to July 1st to 2nd. So that'll be a provision that'll help speeders or prevent speeders. Also, they share that they have a work order in with the Department of Facility Maintenance to modify the school speed limit from 25 miles per hour to 20 miles per hour. So, Gene, you must be aware of that, huh? So I guess we'll be getting new signs and be aware that the speed limit is going to go down to 20. Would that be just during school hours or just in general? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay, we'll find out. Yeah, all right. Okay, also from the Department of Transportation, the State Department of Transportation, they're talking about installing some speed humps on Jarrett White Road. So when we get more information, right now they say that it's in 60% design with an estimated advertisement in spring of 2027. So advertisement, I'm guessing is when they'll finish the design and start sharing that information with the community. All right, let's see. Okay, that was speed humps. Another question was, is there a decision behind the placement of the wells? I guess there's some strategy or some decisions that go behind where you guys are gonna even look for the wells, yeah? Oh, she got it.
Yeah, thank you. I assume this question is about where do we put the test wells or what we call monitor wells to help with the investigation. Just like Mike and the Sargent does investigations, we're also trying to do an investigation working with the Navy and Department of Health and EPA to find out where the contamination is moving. So the decision is, number one, it's also based on, do we have land that's available to be able to set up a drilling rig, which you saw is fairly large, and be able to drill without impeding in traffic or creating a problem for the community. So a willing landowner that's willing to work with us, and we just, again, mahalo the Mauna Golf Course folks are allowing us to drill there. The other part is the Navy does something called groundwater modeling. That's required by the regulators, that they use computer models to try to model how the aquifer performs and how water and contaminants move underground in the complicated volcanic aquifer system. So based on some of the models, past models that the Navy did called particle track modeling, we thought, wow, their model is saying that the contamination from Red Hill could move to the west across Halava Valley toward Aiea area and end up maybe by Kalawao Springs, by Pearl Ridge. So we thought, well, let's try and prove that theory by installing monitor wells in those areas. And I'll just say that, I'd be glad to come out again to the community to share the results. We're just starting to see some of the results coming in, but it seems to kind of validate that there could be a flow, groundwater flow in the aquifer, a natural flow across Halava Valley from Red Hill toward the Aiea Halava area. So again, we use the Navy's own reports, and also when we have access to property that is suitable to develop a well. And that's been some of the challenges too, because it's a lot of a very urbanized, built-out environment. We have to work with communities and with landowners. So that's an answer. Thanks.
My engineering mind is just thought of a question. So if you had a perfect world, how many more monitor wells would you like to install?
I know I've been kind of criticized for this, but from the very beginning, if you look at the Red Hill facility and those that live in Honolulu Valley, you can tell wherever the mountain is still green, that ridge at Kapukaki, picture these 250 feet tall tanks, 100 feet in diameter, deep underground there. And that extends quite a distance, a few thousand feet along the ridge, under the ridge. So if in a perfect world, I would say they would have had to install at least maybe 100 different monitor wells or test wells to better understand how contamination and groundwater is moving deep underground where you cannot see it. Because if you look at the side of when you go by Pali Highway, you can see all the formation of the volcanic rock. It's not uniform. It's not like so when water flows through it, it looks for lava tubes, cracks and crevices in the volcanic rock. And then our island is built up on layer upon layer of eruptions and lava flows. Between those layers is something called a clinker zone, which is very conducive to allow water to flow. So it depends on how the island was built, at what angle and direction did the lava flow to build our island. If in a perfect world, and I told them at least 100 when they asked me in this, to better understand, but right now I think they have about 46, and we added more to that, so maybe we're about halfway there to where I feel more comfortable.
Okay, that's an engineer wish list,
Yeah.
Right.
Spoken like an engineer.
Okay, thank you. This question is directed at military neighbors, but I'm sure it could be for any neighbor that is speeding, has abandoned cars, or just thank you, Ed. Ernie. Or just not being a good neighbor irresponsibly. Any advice on what can be done for a neighbor who has, let's say, abandoned cars or cars that are parked there for a long time that shouldn't be there?
So for that, you can call 911 or you can put it on the app. What we would do is we would come out and we would mark the tires. And by law, you cannot leave a car on the public road for more than 24 hours, or else it would be considered abandoned. What we usually do when we have calls like that, we'll try to see if we can tow it for a legal reason. It could be too close to a crosswalk, driveway. If the registration and the safety is expired. But if not, then we would have to mark it, and then we would have to put it into the computer system for the AV, the abandoned vehicle section, and they'll come out, and that's where they start putting the signs on there. Abandoned vehicle, you have to move it. That one takes a little bit more time, but that would be the suggestion to handle that if a car's been sitting there for a long time. You can kind of tell, the tires are getting moss growing on it, and the dirt builds up under it. So, like I said, either 911 non-emergency, or you can put it into the app, and then we can check on it.
So I guarantee you guys gonna come then, huh?
Either way, we're coming, yeah.
Okay, all right. Thanks, officer. Another question, again with military, and this is actually from a principal of Fort Shafter Elementary who has 100% military students, and his heart to serve the military people is, how can we better support military families in our community? I know that's kind of a general, broad question, but I think it's expressing the heart of someone who's, that's his ohana that he's trying to take care of. I guess I'll take a stab at answering that question. I think we need to, again, be able to live in aloha with each other. And if we have differences, we need to be able to, in aloha, have conversation and discuss those things constructively. And if we have to agree to disagree, then we need to do that respectfully. Of course, if someone is breaking the law, we have to adjust, go on 311 like we said. And I believe that 311, you can do it anonymously too, yeah? So that's another thing. If you guys don't want to really, you feel kind of, it's hard to maybe talk about your neighbors, you can do it anonymously. So that is a great tool. Okay, this is one for Mike Lambert here. I was told by HPD on New Year's Eve last year that unless I witnessed a person light the fireworks, that person would not be cited for a violation. Is that still true?
So yes and no. So for the community, a video is best, because then it just becomes your word versus somebody else. So if you guys got a video, yeah, then we'll go ahead and take that. The law changed, so the reason why it's significant is that now you can give a citation for it, so which means it has a lower burden of proof. So probably the officer was kind of speaking from the old law prior to Gov signing the 2025 version, is that, believe it or not, we actually had to catch them lighting the fuse to give a ticket. Because it was an outright petty misdemeanor, meaning that it's an outright crime. The reason why they chose to make it civil penalties of 220 and 320 is that all we need, because it's civil, is preponderance of evidence. So in other words, a reasonable person would believe. So now, as long as you're, like, for example, let's just say Jose lights it, he's walking away, but he goes off right behind him. Under the old law, I couldn't do anything to him. Under the new law, because they call it constructive possession, meaning that he was the only one close enough to light it off, I can give a ticket. So for officers, we don't need to see people lighting it, but for a member of the public, because it gets kind of dicey on because the general member of the public wasn't trained on how to give legal observations, give us a photo, and then we'll go ahead and make a determination off of the photo. So hopefully that makes it clear as mud.
So besides the photo, we contact where?
So for that one, for example, let's just say your neighbor is letting it off and you took a video, which would be ideal. You could give that to the officer, and if the officer it's clear enough and they're confident enough that the person in the video is the same person that they have now in front of them, the officer can choose to cite. But just remember, you become a witness, right? And that's where sometimes people are like, ooh. They don't want to do that. But the other way is you guys can use the hotline and give an anonymous one, because as long as the video shows it's coming from the house, we'll go after the homeowner. So for those of you that, I get it, you don't want to get into conflict. If you send an anonymous video of the home, we may not get the person who lighted, but we will go after the homeowner. And then sometimes that's just as good, because if I did that and my grandma's still alive, the ear would be like this, right? So, there's other ways to get the job done.
Thanks, Mike. So when you said officer, the video, officer is HPD officer, right?
Correct. So
Right.
for the person lighting, sorry, to be clear, I get confused. I've been both, right? So I forget how I'm talking sometimes. But for the person lighting, that's HPD video. If you guys want to do something a little more up the ladder in regards to going after the homeowner, then send that video to the law.hawaii.gov onto the link there. And then we'll go ahead and have an investigator look to see if the video can confirm at the very least the address, and then we'd go ahead and notify the homeowner.
Okay, and then you can also send the video to 311 also?
I don't know if they're taking it for 311.
I don't know if 311 has that capability.
Okay,
So
we're working on the IT on that one then, yeah. Okay.
Just to touch on what Lambert was saying, last year we actually did have a case like that where a neighbor showed us the video, and actually Officer Ng back there cited the guy. Based off the video, we show up, he's wearing the same clothing, we even found the tubing. So on that instance, we were able to give a citation based on the video. But we do need a statement, a witness statement. That's where, like Lambert was saying, people kind of shy away from that.
So if anybody's wondering why we need a witness to the video, is because we need them to say when that video was taken, because there's statute of limitations as well as what law would apply. So if you guys show us a video prior to July of 2025, we would have to prosecute and investigate it under that law. So that's why it's so important that we have you guys validate that this video was taken today or whatever date, and we need that for prosecution. No, so for rules of evidence, just, if you guys have, kind of peel out neighbors or whatever, any video, we just need you to validate the date and time. And a lot of it, again, has to do with statute of limitations. So, we got to know the date. And that's really what you're attesting to, because the video is the video. But what we need is for any crime is for the witness to tell us or attest to the day it was taken, the date and time it was taken.
All right, just some media things. If someone is just verbalizing a question from the audience, let's repeat the question for our Olelo people that we're live and we're videoing this for prosperity. So you guys are part of history. Okay, question for so comb your hair nice. Board of Water Supply. Question is, for our District 32. Where does our water come from?
So for this community, it comes from our Mauna Loa wells. It serves even into the valley and up by Kaiser Hospital. So our Mauna Loa wells are located, as you drive on the freeway, you see on the right. That's where we're located. It can also come from Kalihi, going this way. So in the past, before Red Hill contaminated the aquifer, the Red Hill field facility leaked and spilled and contaminated the aquifer, and I shut down Halava Shaft. Halava Shaft would also help support this community too, because Halava Shaft provided maybe 13 million gallons a day to urban Honolulu through a large transmission main. It could also help support the communities out here too, but
okay.
now it doesn't.
Okay, related question. When will you open the Halava well?
When will I open Halava Shaft or Halava Wells or IA Wells? When I'm really sure that if I open it, I won't be actually drawing contamination from the underground aquifer on the Red Hill side and move it more westward, where we have more BWS wells there. And I'll just say right now, Halava Shaft and Halava Wells, we're already detecting PFAS forever chemicals there. So if I were to reopen it, we would have to install a water treatment system there before we can safely open it up. But right now, it's indefinitely closed.
Okay. Sorry to hear that. Okay,
Yeah.
another question. People continually park up to 2 feet into my driveway, especially when there's school functions. I hate to bother the police for this, but it's getting worse. Sometimes I will put notes on cars, so any advice on that situation? I think we might have covered it, but just to reiterate and to address this question.
So, yeah, so 4 feet from a driveway is a violation, right? You can't park within 4 feet of the ingress of the driveway. If it's a common occurrence and it's happening during specific school times, yeah, you can either call 911 at that time, or you can report it to us the other way. We can come those specific times. We've actually have done that in the past. Our community policing team has gone out during specific like morning drop-offs or afternoon pickups. And what we try to do is educate people first. And then if it continues, then we can start issuing the citation, especially if the car's left unattended. If they're in the car, a little bit different, but if it's left unattended, we can always cite them. So the best thing is just to let us know, and something like that is important to specific times. If it's happening in the frequent specific times, then it'll help us out.
All right, thank you. This question is reporting homelessness or homeless people. When is it a 911 call? Because sometimes it's more of a nuisance, it's not an emergency. Any suggestions on reporting homeless?
Sure, I can answer, even though we have our former homeless advice. When there's an element of danger, I would say either you're in danger, the person's in danger, or at risk of being hurt, or somebody being hurt, or a crime that's happening, then I would call 911 at that point. Yeah. If it's just like a nuisance, they're just there, then that can be something we can check on. Because normally what we've been doing in Kalihi, our community policing team, is we try to go and offer them services first, so we can try to get to the means of the problem, get them off the street. So yeah, I would say the answer to that would be if there's an immediate threat or immediate danger or property damage or some sort of crime, then yeah, that would be the immediate call.
Okay, thank you. This is for our District 32 community beyond Mauna Loa. It's on Kahua Pa'ani Street. That's the street that goes from Halawa Heights along Aloha Stadium, in between Stadium Mall, all the way to Salt Lake Boulevard. But a report from DOT, I'm reading from one of their emails they sent me, is they had some report of dumping under the H1 overpass in that area. And it was removed as of 11:30 today. And they will be adding that to their weekly checks. So for people who are in that area, that's good to hear and to know that DOT is going to be monitoring that. In fact, I was just door to door in the Foster Village area, and someone was reporting that it was a big fire and it was in that area. So probably, whatever dumps and rubbish was there, maybe, I'm just surmising, maybe the homeless were entertaining themselves with lighting a fire. But just based on just what we've heard, the different presenters here, great public servants, the handouts that we've given to you with the contact information, I hope all of you feel a little bit more secure, a little bit more empowered to know that when something happens, you do have direction to go to. And as they say, call 911, put it on the 311 app. I would suggest to you also that there is Mauna Loa Valley Community Association, Mauna Loa Gardens Community Association, the Salt Lake Neighborhood Board, the IAEA Neighborhood Board. Those are some organizations that I attend monthly. It would be great for you as a citizen to get involved and attend those meetings. And if you do have something that is of concern, you are free to express it there. They have a line item, an agenda item for community concerns. So when you go there, you actually put it on the meeting minutes. It's on record. HPD is a regular attendee of those meetings. Board of Water sometimes, city departments. So it's a great place to address your concern also in a community setting. Okay, I have a question here. I'm not sure exactly if I understand this, but it says, 1 tree cut and 4 foot of trunk remains. How stupid looking, dangerous, remove it. Another tree only 10 to 15 feet away is dying and needs to be cut or removed. So I'm not sure if, I don't want to embarrass anybody by mentioning their name, but is this in on private property, or is this on a city property for the answer to be addressed? It's between the road and the sidewalk. So, it's on the sidewalk, between the road and the sidewalk, yeah. Okay, so
it sounds like it's in the right of way. So any tree that is within a city right of way is managed by the Department of Parks and Recreation and their Division of Urban Forestry. So if there is a concern with a tree that's looks like it's dying, suggest utilizing the HNL 311 app, and DPR will then address it accordingly. Hopefully I answered the question.
okay, thank you. Thanks for taking that, Gene. Okay, I have another question here. What is being done to stiffen penalties for drunk drivers? Anybody want to take a stab at that? Go ahead, officer.
Well, we can only enforce the laws that are in effect. So that would be something the city, the legislatures, yeah, that would be something you would voice to them and have them look into it, and they would have to change the laws in order for us to enforce them. Yeah.
In
So
fact, I think, where's my OM, Caleb? I think I remember this past session, there was a law that is allowing the judge, if there is a repeat offender or a drunk driver who passes a certain limit, there are technologies that would be installed in the car that, you'd have to do like a breathalyzer to start your car. Was that something that, I'm putting my OM Caleb on the spot, I don't mean to do that, but those are things that we look at. And another thing I think was speeding, that there are technologies that you can put in the vehicle that limits the speed of a driver for someone who has habitually been a speed offender.
But if a drunk driver kills somebody, then they get like a 6-month sentence. But if a person takes a gun to shoot somebody, it's a couple of years. What's the difference? The person's still dead. Why not make it a really stiff penalty for drunk driving? Because when you get behind the wheel and you're drunk, you're behind the wheel of a 2,000-pound guided missile.
Okay, for those of you who didn't hear that, what is the difference between killing someone with running them over or drunk driving or a car accident versus shooting a gun because the outcome is a person has passed? I don't know if law enforcement or HPD wants to even comment on that.
It's tough because what we're looking at is the discretion of the judges. So typically, like a lot of stuff related to gun violence and other things, the judges have a say, and then it goes to Hawaii Paroling Authority. So a lot of times we've been trying to push for laws that mandate jail time. For example, related to your gun point, right, is that we're trying to have felons in possession do mandatory time. But unfortunately, the decision makers at the legislature felt as if that right shouldn't be taken away from judges. So for the point in regards to drunken driving, there's several things, right? They were lowering the legal limit. And then a lot of times you have to get people either through civil penalty, meaning that, if they get caught driving or whatnot, it's basically bankrupts you, or, significant, not just a small fine. But to your point, yeah, if you lose a loved one, it doesn't matter whether it was done purposely or on accident with a gun, or purposely or on accident with a car, right? At the end of the day, you're short a family member. So a lot of that has to do with basically coming down, creating a voice, and lobbying the legislature to ensure that there's mandatory jail times for negligent homicide is basically what you guys are asking for.
All right, thanks, Mike, for taking that. We're kind of running to the end of our time. I'm going to sneak in a couple questions, I think, for Gene there. Stream maintenance. Do we have scheduled stream maintenance?
There is, under our ordinance, when it's a concrete lined stream or ditch, it's twice a year, and if it's unlined, it's once a year. And depending on whether there's a need to use heavy equipment, we then have to make sure we coordinate with the U.S. Corps of Engineers to make sure we can use heavy equipment, but that is the general schedule for stream maintenance. It is on our website in terms of what has been completed, what is scheduled in terms of our maintenance schedule. I can say that when I came to the city 3 years ago, we had an issue with vacancies. We were at a vacancy rate of 40%. 3 years in now, we're fortunate that we've been able to really, under the guidance of Mayor, really push our vacancy rate. Now it's under 20%. So we're making strides in being able to get our workforce back where we can regularly maintain it much more regularly, yeah, with some level of confidence.
All right. This has been a really great time. I hope you guys feel like it was worth your while. Hopefully, I can put on more town halls for different subjects, for different people. And I wish we could go on, but we're hitting our time limit, and we need to respect that. So, again, my heart is that this was a good time for you as an individual, as a community, for empowering yourself, for being part of the solution, that we can make a difference. Each one of us can make a difference by observing and reporting these things, yeah? And I just want to give a shout out for Neighborhood Security Watch. If you guys are not part of Neighborhood Security Watch, I encourage you to join that. We have Shari Olanda there. She's the head of the Moalo Gardens Community Neighborhood Security Watch. Shari, raise your hand. You want to raise your hand? Shari? Okay, maybe I'm mistaken. But, in Moalo Valley, we started a Neighborhood Security Watch for, I think it's been 5 years, 7 years. And it's made such a big difference that I believe, and Officer Jonathan Ng is a great liaison, great support. Thank you, Jonathan. I believe every community, every neighborhood should have a Neighborhood Security Watch, because besides addressing crime, it really involves and connects neighbor to neighbor, and we start talking to each other, yeah? And what I'd like to see is, beyond just crime, we start understanding each other's needs, especially kupuna that maybe are shut in, and during disaster situations, we need to be able to identify who needs special help and how we can help each other, because government, no matter how talented and brilliant and dedicated these people are, government is limited. We can't be everywhere at every instant. So, That's great to hear. So what was shared is that we have a community member who does bike or walk, and when they see other kupuna, they share what they know to warn each other, to inform each other. So again, hopefully this was a great time. Please share the message that you missed out. Next time we got a town hall, please attend. Drive home safely, and we can. Thank you. You guys can hang around, talk story, grab some more stuff, grab some refreshments, but we got to be out of here at 8 o'clock. So we do have a little bit more time. I'm not sure if anyone is going to stick around, but I will be here. So thank you again for attending.